Yeah, that's true.
Well, my husband.
There's only 50.
Organization.
Thank you.
Hey, don't you owe me $20? Hey, don't you owe me $20?
All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call to order the Madison County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, February 11th. My name is Chris Wallace. If everybody would introduce themselves for the record.
Tony Xenigas.
Brendan Shane.
Rob Slane, County Administrator.
David Kell, Assistant County Administrator.
Nick Atkins, Prosecutor.
John Sweeney, your sheriff.
Rhonda Mader, Assistant Clerk. Amy Reeves, Clerk.
Dennis Payne, Planning Zone Administrator.
Very good, thank you. We should have received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any additions, corrections? The minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call.
There's a lot of people here. Could you do something other than whisper?
I can, yes.
It's hard to hear you.
Sorry.
Anybody.
Okay,
Thank
good. I can do that, not a problem. We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? None heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Very good. Sheriff, go ahead and start with you this morning.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys everyone had a wonderful weekend. Sorry I was unable to attend last week's meeting. I was in a conference at our nation's capital. I'll make it virtually. Just to follow up, one thing I brought back in that one was I did attend seminars and training versus a new law enforcement facilities design and building. Just to shorten that up, we are on course. Everything that earned out of that is what we've discussed over some years locally. So very beneficial. No items of business for your honorable board this morning. Things are going as planned. We'll keep it safe and moving forward. One thing I did do, reached out and spoke with our contact at Motorola and Rob. Spoke briefly on the camera system that we talked about integrating and upgrading the new technology. There's what they call a road show in Westerville here. I sent that invite out to Rob if anybody wanted to go and see where they had all the technology set up, and it gives kind of a dashboard look of what that program is. Eager to hear back from Rob if you guys want to attend or not. Other than that, I don't have any items of business until later with our reports for you, unless you gentlemen have any business with myself.
I do not. This time. No, sir. Thank you, appreciate it. Mr. Atkins?
Morning, gentlemen. I've got a couple of items I want to address. I'll try to be brief. I know we have a lot of guests this morning. The first item I just wanted to make you aware of. I'm in receipt of the memo from Carpenter Lips. I'm reviewing that. I have some thoughts, and I'm going to reduce those to writing and provide those to you. So expect that in the near future. The second item that I wanted to address, last night after the engineers meeting, I was provided a copy of the bylaws for Mid-Ohio, and I was asked one specific question, and that related to quorum of the Board of Trustees. The question was, what is a quorum, what is needed for a vote or to take action on any issue, and whether that changes at any point. And I wanted to note for your board that a quorum is 3 members of the 5. A majority of those members present are needed for any action. However, there is one specific provision that requires the presence of all members and vote of all members, and that's for the removal of an officer. Not a board member, but an officer, and then that requires a supermajority. I think that was everything that I was asked.
Very good.
Nothing else for this morning.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mr. Slane?
Yes, sir. Like to make a recommendation to change the county's inclement weather policy. I believe I sent that memo out to you guys last week. Had some discussions with Steve in HR, who has had conversations with the sheriff. We address concerns with people living in other counties as well as hybrid workforce. Any questions on that? I think it addresses everybody's concerns that we had previously, so.
Yeah, I have no questions. Pretty straightforward. Gentlemen, any questions?
I'm good. We can pass a resolution on that, don't you think? That might be a
Yes,
good idea,
there's,
so.
yes, there's no reason you can't.
I have one prepared.
She's got one prepared, so
So wait till Amy's
we'll wait till Amy's.
subjects.
Yep.
So my next is a recommendation to reclassify 2 Job and Family Service Unit workers. They're currently in a pay range 1 in the administration unit to clerical specialist, pay range 2 in the income maintenance unit. And the reason for doing this is that, one, their pay rate is extremely minimal. This would provide them with about an $1,800, between the 2 individuals, about an $1,800 increase to the budget. However, by doing so, that's offset by additional state and federal money of $10,000. So actually, we come out on the plus side as far as financial goes. Current responsibilities would stay the same, and a few small added tasks would be included to the reclassification. Pretty straightforward. So, but if you have any questions on that. Now I have the ability to do so, but I'll always bring this sort of thing to the county commissioners. I don't know if we necessarily need a resolution, but I'm sure Amy probably has
I
one.
don't on that one.
You don't on that one, so, I think just giving me the thumbs up on that would probably be okay. But again, like I said before, I make any changes like this, I always confirm with the board.
I see no issue.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we make, I don't know if that's a proper term, but about $8,000.
No hit to the
Cost
general fund.
Yeah,
Very good.
thank you. That's all I have for you gentlemen today.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kelly?
Just 2 items. First, yesterday I attended a meeting in Dublin with all the stakeholders along the 161 corridor with all the developments that's going to be happening from Dublin into Madison County over to Plain City, that stretch. Everybody from Plain City to, I think, Washington Township over to Franklin County has a few parcels on. We were all talking about kind of the plans, and ODOT was the entity that was hosting the meeting, and it was basically to prepare and plan for traffic patterns and upgrades needed in different roads and things of that nature. Future, like future road extension and everything along that corridor. So it was a good meeting. I think we're probably going to have that quarterly to semi-annually. But it was a good meeting that had all the stakeholders there. Second item is we're starting to meet with our townships regarding an update of the comprehensive plan. We met, Dennis and I have met with 2 so far, Darby Township as well as Jefferson Township. Jefferson, it's definitely gonna take a little longer than we thought, and that's a good thing. They have plans, and we need to kind of look at different ways we can look at what their vision is and what the county's vision is and put that on the map. And we're all in agreement on what we, I think, want to see from a development perspective. And again, as we've mentioned before, we work closely with our townships to make sure that they're co-leaders with development opportunities within their jurisdictions. So I think on the 17th, next Monday, we're going to be in Deer Creek Township. And then we're still working on scheduling. Cayen Township will be the first meeting of March 3rd. We're reaching out to others as well. So.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And David, I want to touch one thing on, I think we definitely need to stay on top of the development with ODOT. Because, when we think about Delaware County and of course in Union County, I think they were a step behind. I think they're catching up as we see what they face with, and I don't think we want to be faced with that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're
I'd be
finally
happy to.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're finally on ODOT's radar. I think they've been focused a lot on Licking County with the hotel, and we've been telling them over the years, 42, 161, pay attention, and,
Yeah.
I think we're finally there, at least with 161.
Say, we've talked a lot, I know you've talked a lot to Brian to put that on his radar, so he puts it on ODOT's radar. We'd like to be proactive as opposed to reactive, as they are in Delaware County and Licking County, so I think we're definitely on their radar. Thanks, gentlemen. Amy?
All right, I have a resolution approving the payment of invoices for the Madison County Auditor.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the reduction of appropriations to the prosecuting attorney's allowance, the furtherance and justice account, and returning funds to the general fund unappropriated balance. This was, the letter was to let them know that it was budgeted. I was budgeting for it, so it got sent twice, so.
Disbursement occurred twice,
Okay,
just returning the same.
got it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution approving the publication of a public notice for the Madison County 2024 CDBG program public hearing.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution approving a transfer of funds for the Madison County Family Council.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution supporting, okay, the 166 and there's going to be more discussion on those two for the London resolutions later. A resolution approving the inclement weather closure policy for Madison County offices.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution increasing appropriations to the 2020 CDBG program.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution increasing appropriations to the opioid settlement expense budget line.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any other discussion? None heard, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
And on what resolution 166, I have two versions of that. This is to support the ordinance 20724 and resolution 21024 related to the incentive district's tax increment financing and the establishment of the London Gateway New Community Authority. So,
Yeah, let me take a second look at those. I don't know if you have any particular thoughts on those.
label A and B, and there's a copy for each of you. B7.
Correct. How many trees did you kill?
Check that. So I'm happy to share some comments if you're ready.
She wasn't represented, so they didn't have her internet, so she indicated. Yeah, he told me, yeah, he said last night. They were.
You have thoughts?
Nope.
No thoughts?
I'm happy to share mine. So given that this is an issue before the London City Council, something that I don't know that we need to weigh in on, but if there's a desire to, because I'm not opposed to the intent of what's being considered by London, I propose the alternative because it doesn't specifically endorse the legislation as is. We don't know how it's going to end up. We know that interest rates are still being negotiated. It's a work in process. I certainly don't want to undermine City Council in its ongoing negotiations. So that's one of the incentives for what I proposed. I also think tying it back to our strategic plan, our comprehensive plan, our desire to preserve agriculture, the rural character of the county, channel any growth to municipalities, to growth, certain growth corridors, I think is what we want to focus on in our role as commissioners. So that's why I would not support version A, but I could support version B.
I don't have a problem with version B. I guess my only issue is I don't know that that's really supportive of that particular project. I think they're asking for support of that particular project. I mean, I think that was the request from the City of London, was a letter in support of that project. And this is just kind of a, tepid endorsement of housing growth in the City of London.
Well, I would say it supports the concept of the legislation and supports the potential benefits of it. And I think that's significant. The mayor requested support, and obviously the council's still actively weighing it, so.
When are they gonna vote?
The next hearing is February 20th. So I think this would be their third hearing, so they could vote at
I
that.
knew they had a couple.
Basically, the 18th would be your last opportunity before that meeting, the Tuesday, the 18th meeting, if you wanted to
If no
delay a
action was
decision.
taken today, yeah.
No,
I think you're in the middle on this one, so.
I know. I mean, I can go either way. It doesn't, to me, it says the same thing. But, I just don't see much difference in either one of them. We support it, and that's it. Just the words are different.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a hybrid approach is best, that, we add some language to A that references the comp plan and ties in the comp plan more than it does currently. I mean, I'd be happy with a hybrid approach.
Well, then wait till the 18th.
No harm.
Amenable to looking at option C?
I'm amenable to looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no
Let's do
harm.
that. Let's put together an option C. We'll make a decision next week then. We'll put all options on the table. We would hate to leave any option unexplored. All right, very good. Okay, for the folks in the audience, just want to let you know, there is a representative from Mid-Ohio coming to the meeting at 9:30 to speak on the issue that I'm sure you're all here and concerned about. With that being said, we have concluded a lot of our business, at least till 9:30. It is now 9 o'clock. So obviously we have some time in between to discuss this issue. Happy to field any questions you may have at this point in time before the Mid-Ohio representative is here to speak on this issue, probably more in depth than I am able to. I'm not able to explain their decision making. I probably found out about the same time that you all found out. I believe I found out Monday evening before they went and made their board decision. On Tuesday, I called 3 members of the board prior to that vote on Tuesday, expressing my great concern. Of the 3 individuals that I called, 2 of them voted no. So I think you know which one I called and voted yes. I think that's pretty evident to all that what happened. My thoughts to them were I thought that this was a hastily made decision. I expressed that in the phone call that I thought it was best to at least consider the options for another 2 weeks at a minimum. One of the members was traveling to Florida. I said, well, I think a decision of this consequence should be considered by all 7 members of the board. I think a decision of this consequence should be considered more than it was. And they made the argument to me, well, the property was only available for sale, I think till 5 o'clock on Wednesday was when the agreement was open. I told them, well, I don't think he's marketing the property for sale, and I don't think people are lining up to buy it. Therefore, I'm a real estate attorney. I could tell you could probably wait 2 weeks. I don't think he was going anywhere. So I would have certainly liked them to take more time in consideration before making that decision and making it with all 7 board members in attendance, so they would have all members able to speak on that acquisition. So that's where we're at right now. We've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of discussions last week. We're even helping, with efforts. I think this decision has sparked interest from the members of the community to look for alternative property. I know Mid-Ohio had been sending out 1-page solicitation letters. I don't think it was really a professional operation to find a piece of property. As some of you own farm ground, probably get letters in the mail all the time and throw them away. So they hired a broker that I don't think did them any favors. I think they would have been better suited to asking, folks in the community, business owners, landowners, community members, of property that would be best suited for this and where they might be able to acquire property. As I said, now that this decision was made, I think it has sparked re-engagement for members of the community to come forward with property that may be available for purchase. We had an emergency meeting on Thursday that discussed just that with members of the community, board members of Mid-Ohio, and some landowners in Madison County, some real estate brokers to see, okay, we think this is not the best option. What are some better options that are available? So those discussions, conversations are ongoing. We, the county, intend to play a role in those conversations. As I said, that member, he feels strongly about his decision and will be here at 9:30 to defend that decision. You can all make your, judgments of that decision when he makes his arguments, and ask him any questions that you may have at that point in time. But that's where we've come since the last week, since last Tuesday. I know this has become a focal point for a lot of people, and we expect there to be a large crowd here today. So we appreciate you all coming. We know this issue is of great concern to a lot of people in the community. So happy to, gentlemen, if you wanted to say anything.
I'd like to make a comment. This is the 3rd time they're doing this. This is the 3rd time. I've been against the first 2. I'm against this one, but somehow or another, they seem to think they find logic in the places they pick when they already have a spot that will, I think, suit it better. Their argument is they're going to save money. But when you really look at the whole thing, I don't think they're saving a dime. And I don't know what they want. I don't know if you guys know, they bought a property right next to my house, that they were going to do some, fancy building on. We tried to talk to them at that time. Hey, this isn't a good purchase. They did it anyway, right? I don't know what they're going to do with it. Why are you buying another property? when you already have 30 acres that, you know, was given to that group for this purpose, that's better suited than any other place there is. So every time they bring this up, it causes you guys a lot of concern, and it causes me a lot of concern, you know? So I want you to know from me, I'm with you. I think we all are. There's a lot of crap that they're doing, and we don't like it. Now, what are we gonna do about it? They're a board.
What's the government's?
They're an entity of their own, and you know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a veterinarian, so I can't explain all that to you, okay? But we have a lawyer here that's very knowledgeable of this, and they're an entity of their own. You know, they can do as they please.
Yeah, there are 6119, under the Ohio Revised Code, it's called a 6119, so they are a political subdivision. A water and sewer board, or water and sewer district, excuse me, is considered a political subdivision. Now, this board is made up of 2 representatives appointed by Madison County, 2 representatives appointed by Plain City, 2 representatives appointed by London, and then those 6 members pick a 7th at-large member. So that's how the membership of that board is determined. And so, you know, when we originally formed the board, you know, we wanted, you know, we see what Delco and Southwest Licking, I mean, boards are being formed to achieve economies of scale, efficiencies. You know, that was the goal of forming this board, and also having a professional board to you know, think, consider, ponder, make the best decisions for, you know, strictly water and sewer issues. Obviously, there have been decisions that have been made that we haven't agreed with. You know, we have made that well known. As I said, I called 3 board members before that vote Tuesday and very much expressed my concerns with this current decision that they were considering. So, you know, we share in a lot of people's frustration with the decision-making process. I have questioned their decision-making process, if they are getting full, complete, and accurate information before they are making these decisions. So, you know, that's something that we've certainly questioned with those members, of what process they're engaging in when making these decisions, and if they're hastily made, or if they're just being recommended by the director and they're just rubber stamping it. We didn't put you on there to be a rubber stamp for the director of Mid-Ohio. In fact, I've made it clear to some that, you know, maybe there needs to be a change in leadership in the director of Mid-Ohio. In fact, I'm strongly advocating for that. I went on about a 5-minute rant at that Tuesday meeting saying he needs to go. He was an operator for Madison County. I think he's a decent operator. I think there probably needs to be a change in leadership at the top.
You guys are saying everything really well. So to not belabor the point, I'm here for one reason. You mentioned 6119. I'm looking at 6119-071, grounds for removal of a member of the board of trustees. I think you made the case. They hastily made decisions. They say they don't have any money, but they paid 3.5 times market rate. They got $2 million property, actually 1.925 million over on Spring Valley to put an office on. It's a lot of money. So we made the case. So I'm going to read straight from the state law. A member of the Board of Trustees of a regional water and sewer district who has been appointed to the board may be removed by the appointing authority for misfeasance, nonfeasance, or malfeasance in office. Might be hard to say malfeasance, but I think there's certainly a case that's been made today that these decisions are hasty, that are rushed. They say poverty, but they'll pay 3 times market rate. Something doesn't really add up. They've broken trust. That's the biggest thing. Even if they stay, trust ain't coming back. I don't trust them. 24-hour notice, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, no discussion, trust is dead. So misfeasance, how can you govern without the trust of the people who are here today? So prior to removing a member, the appointing authority shall notify the member of the facts supporting the proposed removal. I think you stated the facts really well. You guys are rushing it, slamming right through it. The trust is dead, you killed it. The appointing authority shall notify the member of the facts supporting the proposed removal and shall provide the member an opportunity to appear before the appointing authority or at a public hearing held by the appointing authority and show cause why the member should not be removed from office. From what I understand, he's going to be here at 9:30. Let's do it now. Do it live. Member of the Board of Trustees who is going to remove the section may appeal removal not later than 30 days after the removal in the court of common pleas constituted as provided in 6119 of the revised code. That's the law. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not a lawyer, but I know what that says. So you guys, the appointing authority, you've already made the case the way this was done. Do it now. Pass the motion. Maybe it's not binding, but a 3-0 vote, no confidence for these reasons. That sends a message. And we'll go up to Plain City and we'll finish the job next week. If he doesn't decide to resign today, because trust is dead, you guys said it better than I could.
Listen, I'm planning on asking them to resign, okay? I don't think, You know, I don't know if he's the needle that's poking this or not. I have no idea, okay?
He was
But
appointed by this board.
it was appointed by this board, and you know what? When we appointed him on this board, he was very qualified to do the job,
I see
okay?
his resume.
But this is my opinion. This is just my opinion, right? If I appoint you to something, don't you expect I expect you to do what I think is right also. I expect you to counsel with me and talk to me about it because you're my appointee. And whatever you do comes back to me. Thus, you're here,
I talk to
right?
the community
So
much.
I plan to ask him today, and we read that, and Mr. Shea shared that with me yesterday. We know what you're talking about. We've done our homework.
Sure.
I plan to ask him to resign, but let him talk first. You know, everybody's allowed to talk.
Absolutely.
It's free,
Talk is free.
but I plan on doing that.
Trust ain't free.
I know
This
that.
decision was made, trust ain't free, and we're talking two different things now. But I agree with what you're saying.
For our record, could you state your name before you speak?
I
Just
stay for
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
So I gotta go and I apologize if someone just went through this out. So it's Marty Gutalo. You said you got Mr. Atkins here, and I know you have to take a look at the bylaws. I sat in live and observed, so I'm the CLPOA board president out there, so I've been running meetings and doing some stuff, Mr. Atkins. They took a motion, a second, immediately called the question, which requires a second and a 2/3 vote to stop conversation. They didn't do any of that. So they took a motion, second, called the question, and took a vote. That's it. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think by law, sunshine laws, all the things, it's not even a valid motion that they passed. And I would like to point you guys to that, to take a look at that and see if you can go after that just from the beginning.
I went to their meeting when they were trying to buy the Spring Valley property, and I wanted to talk. Now, damn it, I went there as a concerned citizen, but I'm also a goddamn commissioner. They told me I had 3 minutes.
I mean, they're allowed to.
I spoke louder, more than 3 minutes,
Right.
and then I EMF'd them and left, okay?
Yes, I mean, they're allowed to limit.
They're controlling that board.
100%. They spent
I need a drink
$2.5
of
million
water.
in a 90-second conversation, which included a first, a second, a call to question, not a proper motion at all.
During halftime, when we're market rates, they say poverty.
The CLPOA spent 20 minutes talking about a $30,000 expense for a used pickup truck.
Yeah, so we share a lot of these concerns. I mean, as I said, I've been talking to the members, not just our two appointees, but London's two appointees who I both know well. I've been talking to them since probably December about, this needing to be turned 180 in the other direction, that this isn't going well, that we have too much riding on their success, the future development, prosperity of this county is kind of riding on their decisions that they make, and right now we don't have a lot of confidence in their decision making, and they've been well aware of that. So yeah, we share in your frustration with the direction that Mid-Ohio is currently going in. I do think it is bigger than one board member, and I've expressed that to other board members, that I think this is bigger than one board member, and maybe there needs to be some wholesale changes made at that district to get it moving in the right direction.
Reverend Hill, to your point, what are our options for those wholesale changes? The way they're structured, it doesn't appear that we have a lot of voice or actual standing to change that structure.
Yeah, so they have a leadership meeting next Tuesday. My belief is I think there will be change coming next Tuesday in that leadership. I've also expressed that, they're currently potentially looking at hiring an assistant director because their assistant director left. So I've had conversations with them about the personnel that I think they need to hire to get this moving in the right direction. So I assure you those conversations are being had behind the scenes. And I think there will be, I can't guarantee that, but I've expressed my concern, as I said, to 4 of the 7 members, that we think there needs to be a wholesale change for us to have confidence again in their decision making. So we're demanding those changes, and I think there will be changes.
Vern Schmidt, if there are, what actions can be taken?
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough question. I mean, I think we have to talk to Plain City about their board members and express our concerns to the other stakeholders, London, Plain City, and maybe it requires all of us getting together and saying, well, hey, this is, we got a lot riding on this, Plain City, London, and the county. So maybe it's meeting with all 3 entities that help form this district to have some conversation, concern, and strategy about how we move that forward. If there isn't any change in the meantime, I mean, I think, like I said, I think there will be. Like I said, I can't guarantee that, but I think even some of the board members are starting to realize that there needs to be some wholesale change. Like I said, 3 members that I talked to just yesterday realized that this is not going well and that there needs to be change and that they've lost a lot of public trust. So I think that there will be change, that there has to be change. So I think all options are on the table, but if that change doesn't come about soon, I mean, I think we would look at then meeting with those other stakeholders involved to see what our options are in terms of, working together, maybe to have wholesale change of board members to try to get this, ship in the right direction.
So this is Mike Bowman. I think the contract was signed before they had their vote. It was signed on the 31st of January and they met on the 4th or something like that, right? So there's got to be something going wrong there. Then also, what mechanisms do you and the township have to make this site not attractive? What taxation, what can you do? There's got to be things that can be done.
I will say this, there is a 90-day due diligence clause in that contract. I think that's our best out, is for get them to terminate the contract during that 90-day due diligence. I mean, I read the contract as soon as it was signed. As I said, I'm a real estate attorney. I immediately saw that and thought, this is our way out. So that's going to be the argument that we make to them. There's nothing we can do in the next 90 days really to make their life hell. I think the biggest thing is just convincing them that this needs to be terminated within that 90 days. And I said, continue to have conversations with other landowners, brokers, business owners in Madison County to find a site that's more applicable. If they say 70 and 40, like, look, we gave them the 70 and 42 property. It says right in there when we transferred that. When we formed Mid-Ohio, we had to transfer all assets to Mid-Ohio. So all Madison County water and sewer assets became assets of Mid-Ohio Water and Sewer District. One of the assets was a property at 70 and 42 that we thought was well suited for this, regional wastewater treatment plant. They're now telling us that that property is, not suited for that. I think it says in that resolution, when we gave them that property, they didn't use it for sewer purposes. It actually reverted back to the county. We have to double check. I can't remember if it said water and sewer or it reverts. It's water and sand sewer. So if they don't use it for water and sewer, it reverts back to the county. But that property was specifically given to them for this project. It was the last piece that we transferred to them, the very last piece, and we held out to transfer them to them because we wanted assurances from them that they would use it for a regional wastewater treatment plant. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, are you going to use this for this purpose? Are you going to use this for this purpose? Yes, we have to have that for this purpose. Fine, we'll transfer it to you. And they didn't. So obviously their thinking now has changed in the interim that property is no longer suited. Maybe, the board member can speak to why that property, I think he will speak to why he believes that property is no longer suited, but they were given a property to build this.
So Greg O'Neill again, I'd like you to work with Plain City, London, and the other people who appointed these folks. I think it's great we're talking to them, we're gonna try to encourage them to make changes, but we can't force anything. And that's because of how it's written. And I'd like to see those agencies that made these appointments rewrite the governing documents that allow you to force a change on that board so that we're not in this predicament 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
That's changed the state law.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. That's governed by state law. Yeah, that's governed by state. We can only remove a board member, as Mr. Lord said, for, misfeasance or malfeasance. We can ask for resignations. We can certainly demand resignations, but we can't remove somebody unless it's malfeasance or misfeasance.
Sabrina Lord. I live out at Lake Choctaw and also on the board Choctaw. I'm requesting that you ask for the resignation of both of your appointees if they voted for this motion. I ask that you resign them. If they don't, please follow the law and remove them.
There's only one that voted in favor of it.
If there's only one, then you only have to do it once.
Sorry, in the corner, you spoke, I didn't catch your name.
Mike Bowman.
Bowman, sorry.
And just so you all know, when Brad's here, when he's finished, we'd like to have a conversation with him in private. Now, it may be a private, ask of him. I don't know that we want his head chopped off in public. I mean, we'd like to have a conversation with him in private, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, we're asking just for it to be a private one-on-one conversation.
3 times. You said it 3 times.
Said what 3 times?
They have tried to purchase property 3 times.
Oh, right.
And it went down this path.
Look, we're in agreement, we're in full agreement.
We're past, everyone's gonna be nice and.
Well, we'd like to have a conversation with Mr. Lutz in private.
I think really if you consider what's going on, there's a lot of development coming this way. So I just want to talk philosophical for a minute. The solar's coming in, it's backed by Bill Gates, everybody sees outside big money. You know, this is a rural community. Then the biodigester comes, shows up one day. I know there's a gentleman out here, you know, so really biodigesters a way to ferment waste and capture the gas. Then there was a dump from years ago, and now it's a sewage plant on our front door. It seems that philosophically speaking, I don't think anybody's here to make your lives miserable or upset you. It's just that like literal waste keeps showing up at our doorstep, and I think we're all tired of it, saying, hey, we choose to live in Madison County. If we wanted to live in an industrial area, we can go live there. I can live anywhere in the world. I choose to live here. Yeah, I know we're perceived a certain way, but I think if you look at it through a different lens, we're kind of protecting what we have because it doesn't exist in many places. So when we keep seeing these, there's 4 examples right there. I think what we're all trying to get at is how do we protect what we have, because I think we value it, we all choose to live there.
Yeah, so let me just say this. So when I came to office in 2020, there was an alternative energy resolution on the books. There were solar projects already in the works.
Sure.
Those things were grandfathered in by Senate Bill 52, meaning, you know, there was nothing I can do when I started to stop those projects. I will say since I've been in office, we've taken action to repeal that alternative energy zone, to make Madison County an exclusion area for any wind and solar projects. Those are on the books. They're done, no more. Now, unfortunately, Oak Runs, as you know, is grandfathered in. And we're now, yeah, the government, the governor, lieutenant governor, you know, Congressman Stivers, unfortunately, a friend of mine who's now at the, you know, Chamber of Commerce, supported by all of them.
It's Bill Gates' land.
Correct. So like, yeah, we're appealing that to the Supreme Court. We'll see. I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence. I hope beyond hope that we are able to stop it. But I will say this, we've updated our zoning code to prevent, you know, to make pretty restrictive for the 50 megawatt and below projects, to make them almost non-existent. We've taken steps to, you know, make the unincorporated area of the county an exclusion area for wind and solar projects. So hopefully there's no more solar. We've done what we can for no more solar. The biodigester, that goes forward. We're looking at litigation probably. I mean, I hate to handicap it, but that's what we're looking at.
I think what I'm trying to say is like 2 points make a line, 3 points makes a pattern.
Sure.
Like we can kind of see the direction this is going. So it's like, okay, I understand that development is a feather in a lot of caps. Like development seems to be gold, you know, preservation and just kind of keeping what we have. That's okay too. So, you know, there's a philosophical debate to be had here. That's my position. Anytime you see me speaking, when you're reading my tweets or my Facebook, whatever, I don't hide. I put my name on everything.
So a lot of people have sent me your Facebook. I'm on Facebook, but I don't get on it very often. But I have been sent your post.
Sure. I don't write under names.
No, you certainly do not.
I speak for me, but I think I share a lot of.
I've received a lot of those messages secondhand.
It's the underlying principle here is like I choose to live here. This is how I want to live, and I don't think I'm a passenger in a vehicle that's just going in directions. Like, wait a minute, we do have an input here, and this is how we want to live. And so there's a natural tension there. I think develop. Like I said, I'm sure I've seen Lutz's resume. Oh, I'm development. You see it every MPA box. So there is not a conflict of interest, but there's diverging interests, and I think we have to figure out how to lead and facilitate those discussions on how do we want to live in this county. It's not just more and more and more. Yeah. More looks like sewage, biodigester, solar. Understanding that it took care of the solar, it looks like a trend.
Hey, my favorite senator wants to speak.
It's not my favorite.
No, I just want to say, you know, I was president at the league, and if you talk to everybody there, they'll say the reason that they were attracted to move to Lake Choctaw was the water. And we've got, I mean, a lot of the people are here because we're worried about the value of our property, but we're also worried about that lake. And that's the big issue. I mean, you know, we just want to make sure. I mean, I agree. You guys weren't, no one was notified. I mean, we know. That's why everybody was here. And I don't know what they were trying to do, rush things. That guy's going to take a lot of heat. And I got to go to physical therapy, so I got to sneak out of here. But But that's the issue is, we're worried about the valuation of our property. You know, you gotta realize, you're a real estate attorney.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm like Michael. Bunch of you probably know me. But I moved to the lake in '85 specifically for the lake. We moved in here, we'd lived on a lake where we were before, and my daughters were in middle school, and they said, we're moving to a lake. So we found Choctaw. And over the years, we have battled environmental issues out there created by nature. There's no reason we need to battle environmental issues created by man. That's a small stream that they're talking about dumping the output into. And every sewage treatment plant has the right to dump raw sewage when there's an emergency in the plant. All of that's going to come into the lake. This stream has at least 3 impoundments that I know of between here and where it goes into the next river. All of these are recreational impoundments. Madison Lake, not too much recreation on it, but I still like fishing down there. So why? There's got to be other places where it's not going to impact the environment as heavily.
Just share a couple things if I can. I appreciate the comments of my colleagues and really echo just about everything that's been said. They have a lot more history with these issues than I do, and I also want to thank everyone for being here. My preference would have been to request the gentleman's resignation prior to this meeting, but I was informed of the possibility of him being here and answering questions. I see a great deal of value in that. And so I hope most of my comments and questions are for the gentleman when he arrives. But just so you know, that would be my preference. I do have a resolution prepared requesting the resignation. I'm not going to ask our prosecutor to comment on whether or not he thinks what's transpired rises to the level of misfeasance, malfeasance, or nonfeasance, but I think my preference would be to request the resignation. Hopefully that happens, but if not, I would definitely want to look into that avenue. I don't know if it would rise to that level or not, but that's what I hope to look into. Either way, with the 90 days, I think we're all committed to doing everything possible to make sure it doesn't happen. Hopefully you all see that today, and I'm sure you'll continue to engage throughout the process.
I need some coffee. I'm not caffeinated yet. How are you, Chief? How are you? Good to see you. Hi, Chris Wall.
Dennis Weiser, I've been in front of the commission a couple times on the sewer plant. I represent St. Patrick's on the finance committee, and we're the ones who sold the land to the county several years back out at 70 and 42. 37 acres that you gave to the Mid-Ohio sewer district. And just so you know, in case you don't, since it doesn't appear like they're keeping you informed, just a couple of weeks ago, they were still talking with us about, hey, we may need to expand the road going back to those 37 acres. And
you said that a year ago.
Yeah. So, and this was just a couple weeks ago. They're still talking to us about, hey, this is how much we need, and it's about 3 acres total.
Yeah.
And, they sent us a letter, and we said, we understand if you think you need a bigger road. If you don't need a bigger road, that's fine. We've kind of made peace with the fact there's just going to be a sewer plant back there potentially. And when they said we need a little bit more land to widen the road, we said, okay, fine. And we're in discussions with them, and then within a couple of weeks, they're buying 52 acres or however many acres it is out there. So the lack of transparency with this organization is appalling, in my opinion.
We got 3 minutes.
Keep going.
Aaron Stevens, I live in Choctaw, and we're just talking about the board for Mid-Ohio, but the people in that office across from the lake are very unprofessional also. So it trickles down to the whole organization. I had a house next to me, because I shared a grinder with them. The house was being foreclosed, but they had the electric. It took me almost a month to get them to run the electric from my house. And during that time, they threw in a generator and said, hey, did you start that occasion? They didn't have somebody come and do that. And then after they were done, they did nothing to my yard. It's still got a dip in it from when they buried the cable. And they only had one bolt in the top of the grinder. Now, man, this is small potatoes compared to what we're talking about. But they don't even, it trickles down to the whole company. This Mid-Ohio is the most unprofessional company I've ever dealt with. Terrible. And now they're doing this behind you guys' back. It's ridiculous.
That's why I like my septic tank.
I was in Choctaw before the grinders. My aeration system worked very well. I maintained it the way I was supposed to, but we didn't have a choice. And back then, when they forced us to do it, they said they were going to do it at Madison Lake. There's still not a sewer system at Madison Lake.
We're still paying for it.
Yeah, right. Well, I paid the 11,000 up front.
Well, we paid.
Well, I see a bunch of grinders going in with
2029.
zero being paid for.
They just stepped out, they'll be in, we'll start. Looks like we're gonna jump in these fellas here and this young lady.
What's that? Oh, it was fine, they put something on the agenda.
Did you know you were gonna have this crowd?
Hey, this is.
Did you?
Really good because it.
We're all here for the
They have 9:40, you guys are on the 9:45,
This will
so
be really quick.
this will be pretty quick. So I mean, if they want, if they can probably give up your seats after this,
We're done.
not right now.
Oh.
Yeah, get up and leave.
For the Mid-Ohio.
Kind of like Norman Cheers, like this is my spot.
That way they're kinda, front and center.
Yes.
Sheriff?
Actually, Aaron. Aaron has a board, she wants to discuss some things, and I'm gonna hop in and support of her and talk with your honorable board, so.
Very good. Aaron?
So the BMV has contacted me. They want the title office to start doing driver's exam. So I feel like that's a great opportunity for our community. We don't have it, we haven't had it for years. My only issue is we don't have that location. I don't have a place to do the in-car cone part of it. So I need a county area somewhere to be able to do that.
Yeah. I think we could probably help that, can't we? We've got a big parking lot, Lafayette.
But, so if I may,
Yes.
if I may, we've had
Yes,
these
you may.
discussions probably for at least a month, if not more. And I too thought of that, but keep in mind that property is for sale and we do have interested buyers. So in speaking with Aaron, I mean, there's a process to this. There is some investment. So it's not something I think that she wants to jump into, then to have that property pulled out from underneath of her in a month or 6 months, or it's a long term.
Somebody and to do this process. right?
Well, the way I think about that property's been for sale for a very long time. We still own it.
Do we what?
We still own it.
Yes, yes.
And we've been trying to sell it for 5 years. So, I mean, we could think of an alternative. I think that's easy enough. I'm sure there is. Do the cones have to stay there 24 hours a day?
So if I can jump in on this, Aaron and I talked about this, I do have a lot on Barfield. However, I feel that target area, I think this is something that we can put out to our community. When we talk about kids that are growing up, getting ready to drive, start practicing, everything, I would certainly be supportive and probably could help in that aspect because this is for the education and safety of our kids. We have some funds to even boast other than just a couple cones put out, and we do something kind of that's installed be a practice area for our youth to come and prepare for their tests.
Would the fairgrounds be an option? We can talk to the fair board maybe?
I don't know that the fairgrounds is probably, it would really, if we can get it more exposed to our public and our youth, that, you know, to go out there and practice. I mean, the fair, yes, it probably would be, but it's gotta be asphalt. We'll probably put something in, like a, you know, the car hits would collapse or whatever.
Well, this is a great idea, so let's work on it, let's get it done. You know, 3 kids here recently, one had to go to Columbus, the other one had to go to Hilliard, and the other one had to go to Springfield, and it's a pain in the ass.
Right.
So,
I think it's just.
If we were to make a location out there and you would spend the money tomorrow, I'm sure it'd be minimal expense to move that location.
That's
We
what
just
I'm
wanted
saying.
some support from the honorable board, for our youth.
Is there an option there? I mean, we talked about the Garfield.
I could do it in Garfield.
Downside of that is that's still an option for building a new sheriff's office.
Right.
You know, not the primary one, but, you know, if that is, then that would have to be incorporated in the engineering.
Yeah, it'd be tore out, we'd have to move it again.
Well, like I said,
I think we're gonna have minimal investment in this, that,
get it
you know, we
done.
have to move it, but, you know, our thoughts were that, you know, you guys had you know, like a prime location, we want to advertise this to our public to see, what is that? You know, what's the area for our youth as we
You
start.
got the engineer's office too.
You know, your lot is really a nice asphalt lot, you know, mine's tar and chip.
Perfect spot.
Yeah, mine's tar and chip, the engineer's office tar and chip.
So am I removing, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, so am I removing that 1 acre from surplus property then?
No.
No, yes?
I would stick the cones on there. If we sell it, we'll find another spot.
Well, that's what I'm saying, where's the another spot going to be? Because I'm not sure how arduous this is to
I don't think it's a
become part of it.
problem changing it. I just don't want to like get into, we talked about in front of Tractor Supply and that.
And that's
if
the
they
1 acre
complained-
I'm talking about.
Okay, if they complained, I didn't want to turn around and have to move it in a month. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want it to be an issue.
So there is a real estate agreement with that 1 acre not to infringe upon their outdoor storage area, which is clearly marked and clearly written. Now, granted, the area that she needs is not that big, but my concern is that if somebody comes to me tomorrow and says, I want to buy this 1 acre from you, then what? Where do we move it to?
I'm not saying that we have to make a decision today, we just want to make sure your board supports maybe a decision somewhere. And we can continue to talk in the background, but I think the approval today, that you'll help us find a location for it.
Yeah, I think we are supportive.
Like I said, and I'm willing to even offer mine if we can't.
Yeah, I think we're supportive. So yeah, we maybe find not just that location, but maybe consider some alternatives as well, just so you have a backup plan as well.
We do have surplus property at Job and Family Services, but it would take a capital improvement in terms of asphalt to make that work.
So
We need to hear about it.
the service is worth trouble.
Yeah, it's not much trouble.
Yeah, we don't need.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, now you gotta go.
Now get out. Approved, get out.
Then don't damage our table on the way out.
More stuff we got.
Yeah. My first rodeo, Mr. Siddiqui.
I know that's not the end, I think.
That's true.
Taking you a while to get
acclimated.
acclimated. Mr. Engineer, did you have any business for us this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. I have no business for you today. Just want to thank you for joining us at my meeting last night with trustees and appreciate your support for public. As you know, I always enjoy the opportunity to talk about roads and asphalt.
We appreciate you. Yeah, we appreciate your informative presentation. Good morning. Sir?
took one that you guys had copies.
Should be up.
All right, yeah. This is the time we had set aside, but joining Mr. Brad Lutz is one of our 2 appointees to the Mid-Ohio Water District Board, and also District Director Tom Taylor. I think the gentleman would like to speak about the recent acquisition. I think there's a lot of members in the public would like to see how we arrived at that decision.
Sure.
I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So, yeah, my name is Brad Lutz. Been with the board since its inception, so.
Brad, do you want to use TV at all?
No. I was actually going to just look for an email.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, Brad, you have to speak with some volume.
Oh, I can turn around too, so.
You need to face the crowd.
If you don't mind, I'll just stand here.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, my name is Brad Lutz. Obviously, the 2 commissioners to the left there. Been working with you now for going on 3 years. And Commissioner Shea, obviously, we haven't had a chance to meet yet. But just a quick background on me. I've been in the community for going on 5 years as the day job, if you will, is I'm the finance director, deputy city manager for the city of Marysville. And been out there on Thomas Road, have started parenthood a little late, so I got 2 little kids. I haven't decided if that's going to kill me or make me live longer, but we'll see which one happens. My son goes to Jonathan Alder, Monroe Elementary, and daughter I still get to drive the daycare, which is fun. I hope that I sent an email to Commissioner Wallace. I want to say it was Thursday or Friday of last week, where I went over the reasons I chose to side with this purchase, chose to be against vote on this. So I'm just going to go through these reasons. I won't read the email straight away. The first reason, and obviously one of the most important when it comes to the water sewer district, is regarding the cost. So in your packet, in the last page, shows that the total savings, even accounting for the purchase of land, is over $4 million. And that is a significant cost to our district. If you look at the fund balances, $4 million is a good portion of our capital fund. We know that the wastewater treatment facility is far from the last facility that we're going to need to build in the relatively short term. Water is another concern, whether that's in London or Plain City or in the county. So any money that we save today pays literal dividends moving forward. So obviously the savings of money is extremely important. The cost savings of the construction was also considered in line with the maintenance. So obviously this is an area that's really Tom's expertise, but regardless, to move the effluent from the I-7042 location was going to require 2 24-inch force mains versus a gravity line. The gravity line was what we expected to be able to use from the 42 I-72 Deer Creek. Unfortunately, that was not possible. So it had to be a change to a force main that significantly increases the cost, and also you add on a lift station. From my time at Marysville and on this board, what I've learned is you want to avoid lift stations as much as possible. They require a significant amount of maintenance. They break down sooner than other items in the plant would. Pumps need replaced on a constant basis. You have to build them double because obviously if a pump fails, it's still got to pump. So lift stations are not ideal. So that was one of the reasons as well, looking out to the future.
May I ask a question here, or do you want us to wait till you're completed?
Oh, no, however you want to proceed.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. When I read your email with the 10 points, I interpreted the location of the discharge to be from the old 70 and 42 location to be upstream of Choctaw. But my question is why? And was that always the case? Why were you considering discharging upstream of Choctaw when you were at the 42 and 70 location, when it's so far away that's what's requiring the force main, is it not? I mean, so what's the reason for that?
To be honest with you, I'd have to check with engineering on that.
I mean, that seems to be the most vital, obvious, common sense question from a layperson like myself. I mean, you're going very far away upstream, and you're saying that the biggest increase in cost is because of the force main, which I would think would be required because of how far away and going uphill, right? So
the uphill happens immediately.
Well,
from the site. So regardless, we can't pump uphill. So,
but why so far?
Again, that was what engineering put together in order to meet the requirements of the EPA. So we can get more detailed information from them and pass it on.
Okay, well.
But I don't have that report or those designs in front of me. And keep in mind, we're still at 60% design. So we know what the effluent line would cost, and we know whether we would need a lift station regardless. If there was any way to shorten that or do something different with it, again, we're only 60% of the way through. We could find a way to do that differently.
You're talking about effluent. What you're not talking about is the influent. The 70 and 42 intersections at 1,000 feet, it's right on the county auditor's site. The location you selected is at 1075, and you gotta lift it over Summerford, which is about 1,100. So you're lifting influent or effluent one way or another. Today, you're speaking on the effluent part, which is the outflow. You haven't said a word about lifting unprocessed sewage uphill 6 miles.
The 42 line is a force main as well. So in other words, there was already going to be lifting occurring for that.
What I'm getting at is you're talking about the effluent only, and there's another piece to that.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is the influent, if you, well, is that the actual word? That's a good word. The influence is a force main all the way down 42. So in other words, it was going up regardless. So us moving farther west has zero impact on that. That was already going to have to go uphill, and now it's just going to continue going uphill.
So you said a couple things before we keep going. Would it be okay if I ask a couple questions? You talked about a $4 million deficit, so I'm doing some cocktail napkin math. On 52 acres, you paid 3.5 times over market rate. Highest we could find around here was 15, actually it was 13 acres, we'll call it 15. On the 52 acres, that's $2 million. You got 1.92 million over on Spring Valley, I guess you're gonna build an office on it. I found your $4 million. The lift station, okay, we talked about it. The EPA requirements, would it be fair to say that the EPA requirement is they don't want treated sewage being put in the Darby because of 2 endangered shellfish?
No, they have zero issue with effluent being discharged into the Darby.
So why move it
They don't want us to put more effluent than we already are into the Darby, because they don't have an issue with the effluent that's going into the Darby. As a matter of fact, that helps the Darby considerably, especially during dry season.
You're making this easy for me. The Darby, the Plain City plant is 1.25 million gallons a day, that's what's rated for. You're proposing a 20 million gallon a day plant.
No, 5 million.
5 million, okay, so still 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
If it's actually good for the Darby, why are we pumping it through force mains, like you said, uphill both ways?
Because the EPA doesn't want any more effluent going into the Darby.
You just said it's good for the Darby.
It is, but too much water is bad, because the ecosystem is very fragile. So they're happy with the amount of effluent that's going in. They have zero issue with the 1.25, and I believe we're increasing that to 1.5.
Yeah, 1.25.
Oh, it went from 1.2.
Yeah, we back it down.
Okay. So it's 1.25. They're happy with that. They have zero issue.
But not 5.
But not 5, because again, that would be too much water. Has nothing to do with what's in the water. It has everything to do with the amount of water. Because they want a certain level of flow in the Darby, because those creatures that you mentioned are very sensitive.
So 5 million gallons a day, what goes in that thing when it rains? I'm guessing it's like an order of magnitude bigger than 5 million gallons a day. Like that seems pretty lame. We're talking about surface water running off into a river, but a sewage plant can't put 5 million gallons a day in.
Well, again, if there's a large rain event, the whole system, is going to be experiencing a large rain event. So there's going to be more surface runoff. Yes, there probably be more that come out of sewer treatment plant. Again, I assume, and this, I'm not a wildlife expert, I'm not an expert with the EPA, but I can only assume that the EPA is basically saying, on a day-to-day basis, we're happy with this flow. Large rain events are going to happen. That's nature. In other words, those creatures in that body of water can handle on an occasional basis a significant amount of rain. But on a regular basis, they cannot. I mean, that's the only assumption I can make, because again, they don't have a problem with 1.25, they don't want.
Let me just say, I hear what you're saying, I understand there's an Endangered Species Act up with the list, I get it. Federal regulations like that are impossible to overcome, so I'm sensible of the problem you're up against. That said, I find the logic that if we're doing a 1 1/4, we're gonna go to 5, I find it hard to say, oh, 3 million gallons of water a day. That seems pretty lame, to justify pumping it 25 miles overland uphill both ways.
Well,
like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, trust me, everybody in here, understand, that is an extremely hard pill to swallow. And the board is right there. When the board started, like I said, it's going on 2 years now, we were blown away by the amount of restrictions placed on us because of the Darby. And those restrictions are only going to get, I don't want to call it worse, because obviously we want to protect the big Darby, we want to be a partner in that. I certainly don't want to say that, but they're going to get harder to meet. And one of the things that we're dealing with the EPA now is they're very concerned about the water that comes out of that watershed as well. In other words, like the wells that we take it out, even though we may be putting it back into the surface water, they would rather that water feed the big Darby from the underground.
Well, then I got a little simple answer for this. Maybe Plain City doesn't need to go from 4,000 people to 21,000 people. Like, I can fix that for you right now. I understand there's interest, but what you're saying is kind of making the case that this place really doesn't lend itself well to 5 times growth of development.
Again, don't disagree with you, but that is definitely what the governor's office would like to see.
The
governor's office wants to see this area grow.
He doesn't live there. He lives in
I know,
Madison.
but so what we're getting is a very strong push from the executive branch to say, we want to see the area grow, the area as a whole. And yes, there may be certain restrictions on that, I understand that, but I'm saying that's coming from us on one hand, but obviously the EPA is on the other trying to protect the water.
So who do you think you work for in this role? Do you work for the governor, or do you work for us, the citizens of Madison County?
I work for the Mid-Ohio Water Sewer District.
And who do they represent?
We represent the district.
So the governor's not on the district, he lives in the mansion of Madison. What I'm saying is I understand the tension here. When I'm telling you this as a resident of Madison County, I don't care. I don't care what that guy in downtown Columbus wants to do. I couldn't be any more clear. I don't give a flying rip. We live here. It's our lake. We fight green algae every year. Now, the water's great. It's not good enough for the Darby, but you're gonna put it in our lake where people live.
Again, you're misinterpreting. It's not that it's not good enough for the Darby. Again, the quality of water going into the Darby, 0 issues. The problem is the quantity. That's completely different. It's not a quality, it's a quantity.
So what's making you choose to put it in the Choctaws Lake?
Well, it has to go somewhere.
So we
You
put
can't
three
go.
times as much. So we can put 3 times as much in a creek than we can a river?
Why can't you put it downstream? You're pushing it 25 miles, push it out of the state and go downstream.
That, again, the engineering design chose that this was the most cost-effective solution based on the location at 74.
Does the engineering design work for the board?
Yes.
Then you need to communicate that to your engineers. You're
And-
not.
No, we do, but in the end, what we know is this is a significant savings to the board.
You can't tell us about savings when you pay 3.5 times over market rate. You have a $2 million property, you're gonna build an office on this. You can't claim poverty on one hand and do stuff like that.
No, the 4 million in savings includes the property purchase.
I haven't seen your numbers, but I'm telling you right now, you can't claim poverty and pay 3.5 times over market rate and just go, oh, okay, they don't have any money. It doesn't add up.
No, I didn't say we didn't have any money. What I said was that $4 million in savings plus the future savings on maintenance is significant to the district at this time.
You started out by saying you got pumping sewage 25 miles over the land. Like, we're familiar with the grinder system we have in our neighborhood too. There's issues with it, as Darren just said. You're doing that and you're magnifying the scale of it to cover the entire county, and it seems kind of ridiculous because we understand that system.
Yeah.
When the power goes out, I bought a generator to make sure that I can make things go okay. So you're doing that at a larger scale. And so not only are we saying we're pumping uphill, we're growing a community where you said, hey, the aquifer's not, I got a really easy answer for you. Don't develop it. Hey, Governor DeWine, you don't live here. We're the ones dealing with it. last time I checked, I heard democracy on the top every day for the last 5 years, so the voice of the people is here to say, we don't want it. So who's in charge here? Never us. In your opinion, as a board member, who do you represent? Never us.
Well, once again, we represent the district. We hear from Darby Township and Plain City that they want to go. And quite frankly, the county has been a great partner with us in
It's very
helping
generous.
facilitate.
They were willing to lay their shit in my front door.
Yes.
Like that's really why everybody's here. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's real generous that they want to grow it, and you guys in Marysville and Plain City are willing to pump your shit down my yard into my lake where I recreate and choose to live. An insult, actually.
No,
It is.
Marysville is not part of that.
Southern Union County is not part of this district.
No,
I've seen the picture on your website.
no. So what, I think that, no, I live on Thomas Road, just about 10 miles from here. But what was I gonna say? So the city of Marysville handles sewer and water down to Jerome Township. I will say that we are currently working with the city of Marysville in order for them to take affluent from us for the development that's being planned on for 161, because again, we don't have the regional plan up. So we have no way to serve that development that's going to happen on 161. So we are working with Marysville in that regard, but no, everything in Marysville goes into Mill Creek, which goes like towards the Scioto and so forth. So nothing in Union County comes down here. Now Milford Center, which we take their affluent as well, Marysville does, and takes it over to our plant, which again goes into Mill Creek, would have gone into the Darby, but again, we take that affluent. So I don't know who else discharges affluent north of us into the Darby. I know that obviously Plain City does, we know that West Jeff does, and there's probably.
Familiar with this picture? It's the Mid-Ohio, proposed Mid-Ohio Water and Sewer District. It's Plain City, and right there splitting that giant red blob in half is the Union County line.
Yeah.
And if you notice what comes out of that is this force main that we're talking about, that's bringing the shit to our community.
Yeah.
So
all we're serving is the Kyleville. We have no desire to go past Kyleville, and frankly, Marysville wants to serve that area. And frankly, if Marysville didn't serve that area, Dublin would probably come 161.
Yeah.
So.
And Mid-Ohio does serve a portion of Union County because Plain City, the village of Plain City is in Union County.
Yeah,
That's why I said, before I said it's in Union County.
And as a matter of fact, Plain City is doing some great things working with Marysville in regards to the north side, where they're currently doing work, because again, Marysville can offer some services, because obviously our line is Marysville, runs down 42, and we can come, or runs down Industrial Parkway, and we can come down 42 and make a hook up there as well. And if nothing else in the future, it's, a shared interconnect, which is very important for water sewer systems.
Brian, I saw you have a hand up.
Yeah, before we get too sideways in here, and all these down in the weeds conversations about engineering and costs and whatnot, they're all valid. But engineering doesn't guide how we grow in Madison County. We've had a comprehensive land use plan in this county since 2002. The growth of the county and the type of development and the type of use, it's a big deal. We have spent considerable dollars and energy and planning and consensus building about where we want to go in this county, where development should be targeted, what the pressures are on us from Central Ohio. I don't want to lose sight, I don't want Mid-Ohio to lose sight of the impact that their decision-making has on us as a whole county. The siting of sewer plants, engineering aside, is a huge deal from a land use perspective. We spent years trying to get sewer service to the villages, to the Hamlet of Summerford, to help clean it up. Now we're talking about putting a 5 million gallon a day sewer plant right next door.
Yeah.
Just down the road from a prime economic development corridor that the county has identified. I don't want to get lost down in the weeds on engineering and well, force mains this and all that. That's all valid, but big picture, the siting of these plants, of these facilities, is a big deal, has a huge impact on the communities that are around them. I want Middle-Ohio's board to take that into account. I want them to be listening to the communities that appoint their members, that realistically, yes, this is its own political subdivision, but by damn, the only reason they're there is there's 3 other political entities that have joined together to form them. And I don't want to lose sight of that. And I think if you look at all engineering aside, you need to take into account how their siting of these facilities plays into the long-term comprehensive plan that the county and the village and the city of London have. And that has just as much merit on the decisions they make as the engineering and the financials have.
I think that's a really great point. Here's the issue. This sales contract got dropped on the board 24 hours ahead of time, voted on with no discussion in a hastily manner. So I agree that it's worth having that discussion, keeping silent. That the way this went down was speed and violence of action.
So
I took the way your board did that as an attempt to circumvent any sort of discussion. My wife was there.
Yeah.
You guys came out of executive session, you motioned, you called the question, discussion's over, we're not even talking to you.
Well, so there's a couple things here I want to address, obviously, so there was a lot that was said. So first of all, when it comes to the comprehensive plan, that is actually one of our guiding documents. And by moving this plant to this location brings water sewer to the 56 I-70 interchange much sooner than would happen otherwise. So, and that would allow us to then serve all the way down 40 in between 42 and 56. So actually, that is part of the consideration. Where can we get development and capacity fees that will ultimately help pay for this and then the future projects that will come from that? So it definitely was part of the thought process.
Do you offer tax abatements to any businesses that tie into all that development? Because when I look at
we
West
don't,
Jeff, every
we don't
business
offer,
that tied into
we
that
have
was
no
tax
power,
abated for 10 years.
no power to offer tax abatements. That's not us.
West Jeff isn't part of the district.
What I'm saying is when I look at how this has gone in other locales, I understand that the people on the system end up paying for the capital infrastructure requirements because the developers are offered a tax abated deal for 10 years.
So there's, once again, there's a couple, okay, so there's a lot to discuss here.
What I'm saying, Brad, on the siting is that the siting of a plant impacts the growth and the type of growth that can occur and the effect on the existing uses of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that needs to be taken into account, and we just need to say out loud, if we're gonna put a 5 million gallon a day sewer plant next to Summerford, that town's done.
Yeah.
Like who wants, I mean, we just spent millions of dollars to get them sewer service. Here you go. Now we're gonna put the plant right next to you. You know, we had real hope in Summerford Township about a coming back of the handling of Summerford. That's done with a 5 million gallon a day sewer plant right next to it. And all concerns with, and I agree with the concerns about Choctaw Lake. You need to know it's going to have a real impact on Summerford Township and the direction that township goes. And that needs not to be lost sight of.
No, it isn't, and as a matter of fact, I am gonna have to disagree with you on that. So let me finish this point. Let me finish my point. So what I was on the Village of Asheville Council, and we had to build a new wastewater treatment plant because we were under EPA orders. And that plant is literally in the middle of residential development. And residential development continues to be built around it. That's because the plants built today are not the plants of yesterday. They're not packaged plants. These are well-oiled machines that mitigate any smells, that are treating water to the highest level.
No one wants to live next to a sewer plant.
I just said that in the fastest growing community in Pickaway County,
whatever,
there's a sewer plant right in the middle.
It's still a sewer plant.
So discharge it in the darkness. We're back to full circle. You're gonna tell us how great sewers are, except for the fact we can't discharge it in the dark.
Not quantity, not quality, rather, quantity. I'd like to think that we could agree that a stream, ideally handles a certain amount of water in a regular basis, especially if they are trying to maintain endangered species. Again, they don't have a problem with the amount of, the quality of the water going into it because those species have thrived in it. No, it's the amount of water. They're worried about the mussels having too much constant pressure on them to attach to, quite frankly, whatever it is they attach to, and then being pushed downstream into areas that they can't survive.
If we're talking quality, not quantity, how often are you willing to come up and take a drink out of it?
As a matter of fact, I've actually taken a drink of fluid. Believe it or not, I have. I did it in Marysville. We have a wall, a water feature in Marysville that the water comes directly out of the plant. And our wastewater treatment guy said, I said, so can you drink that? And he said, well, I can't tell you you should drink it because obviously it isn't technically meeting drinking water standards, but you can drink it. And I drank it. So yes, I have drank effluent straight out of the wastewater treatment plant. I'm okay with that.
And the quantity against Choctaw's Dam would affect, have you looked into that?
Well, the amount of water that your dam is designed for, our water would have zero impact, because like, I'm not a dam expert, but my assumption is you would have a spillway or some type of thing that if the water gets too high, it exits the dam, so.
But the same problem exists though with your ebb and flow.
So
that dam can't handle constant pressure at those levels.
Well, so I did the math, and I will admit, I'm not, and I will answer your question here, I promise, just I'll answer this one really quick. So I will admit, I'm not an expert on volume calculations, debits and credits guy, but what I will say is I did the calculation of your lake, so this was from a report done by OSU, had used Choctaw Lake for testing, and this was back in 2014, 2015. And they said that the average depth of the lake was 2.4 meters and 285 acres. Again, maybe those numbers are slightly off one direction or another, but that's what was in the report. And so I did the calculations, and that's a total of 742 million gallons. And at least in the beginning, all we would be, I mean, the max that we would be putting in there is 5 million gallons. But at 3 million gallons, which is where this plant would stay for at least a few years, that's 0.4% of the total volume of the lake. So I don't think that this amount of water would have an issue with that. But again, we could obviously confer with the Corps of Engineers and see if that's the case or not. I do need to pause here because this woman's had her hand up for granted.
So you keep saying quantity. What happens to the lake? You've increased the quantity, and you've increased all the nutrients. You're going to nutrient load our lake. The phosphorus, you're going to cause more green algae blooms. This lake already deals with green algae blooms.
Mm-hmm.
You're really going to nutrient load it and increase that same problem onto this community. Did you take that into account when you made that decision to vote yes for that property?
As a matter of fact, I did, because that's actually, again, not the case. So Buckeye Lake is a prime example.
Have you read the peer reviews on that? Have you studied that? Because you can Google it, you can get on the internet really quickly, look for how that affects lakes.
Yeah, and those studies have been done on Buckeye Lake for years, because Buckeye Lake during the teens especially, late aughts into the teens, had algae blooms regularly. And I know this because my father lives over there. So, he was always keeping me appraised. When the dam was bad and the water was down, he was telling me all about that, he was telling me about the algae. So yesterday I did some research and found that Buckeye Lake has not had an algae bloom since 2020. So for 4 years, actually the last one was before 2020. So for 4 years, they have not had.
I think that's right. It was just on the news, like probably 1-2 years ago, they was on the news that they had to shut down their beach for water system. And that's what our issue is. So
No, look it up. I did not find any record of it. Now, I will admit that I cannot find on the Ohio Department of Health a constant registry of algae blooms. But I looked up algae blooms in 2023 and algae blooms in 2024 and didn't find any. But if there was one, okay, but I still contend there was definitely none in 2020 or 2021 because there was an article written in the dispatch that specifically said there were no algae blooms those 2 years. And I don't believe there was any in 2024. That is a significant decrease in algae blooms. One of the reasons for that was there was hundreds of homes on the south side of the lake, particularly in the Thornport and Honey Creek area, running over to Fairfield Beach, that were all on septic systems. And frankly, we can probably all guess how those septic systems were operating at that time. So Thornville's wastewater treatment plant, part of the Perry County system, increased its size in order to take that load. And then now, all of that effluent that came out of the septic systems are now going to Thornville wastewater treatment plant, which discharges into Buckeye Lake. And then Millersport and the village of Buckeye Lake also discharge in the watershed of Buckeye Lake. So, and that is happening in years where they have much less algae blooms. And I'm going with you, I'll trust you on that there was one in 2023, I will take that. But there's nowhere near the algae blooms they had in the 2010s and the 2000s.
I guess just on our point, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria is an issue in our lake right now. And we are going to, I know that effluent water is going to be the EPA standards, you're going to make that as clean as possible, but it still does have nutrients coming out of it. There's still going to be phosphorus, nitrogen on that. So that's a daily dosage that we're getting at whatever quantity that is.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that needs to be considered and studied somehow, you know.
But once again, so the EPA, as part of the.
Hang on. You can't say, oh yeah, you guys came up with this purchase contract, released to the board in 24 hours, voted on it, no discussions.
No.
You can't say, oh yeah.
So
Nobody in this room trusts you right now. But when
So
you did
you
that-
just interrupted me and didn't let me finish. I said, so as part of the process, the EPA has to issue a permit.
Right.
So they will do the appropriate testing. And they're, to get the NPDES permit, Tom, did I get those letters in the right order? That permit actually requires public comment. So there is a citizen process with the EPA through the permitting approval. And so, yes, that was taken into consideration as part of this because the contract has in it 90 days for us to do the testing necessary and work with the EPA to ensure that they would give approval for us to discharge in that location, then to get the permit would come later.
So citizen inputs, tell me how the citizen inputs mattered in the solar decision. Like, I saw this room filled up with people who were in solar. So tell me the value of that process really. Hey, thanks for your input, we don't care, we're gonna do what we're gonna do.
Just telling you the process.
And I'm telling you the process is more.
Sure.
You go, yeah, here's your input, go ahead, squeal, it's Bill Gates money, it's a huge project. You yourself voted for it, never mind the fact that this county voted with a huge margin to be against it. So, yeah, you guys have an input into the process. Guess what? By the time we're arguing about what comes out of the plant, it's already over. It's already over, man. You'd like, I'm not doing that process. It's like, how do you want it? You want a cheeseburger, a hamburger, chicken to eat. So your words are very, very hollow.
Yeah, this gentleman had his hand up. I appreciate
So
the
I've
people
been
that
out
put their
Choctaw
hand
now
up.
17 years, and over that 17 years, during large rain events, because of the farmers all around us have put in the EBS piping, the water gets to the ditches and then to our lake a lot quicker, so we've had a lot larger flood events of people around now. And now you're gonna put extra water in to the creek that feeds our lake, so during large water events, we're gonna have even a bigger flood.
There would be
To the
more
people
water.
that live on the water.
Yes, that is true. I
So
can't-
basically, you care less about Choctaw Lake, it's all about money. You could care less.
No, I went through all the things that we've done to ensure that.
But you
You
didn't
guys
just
had a
say,
meeting last week.
No one did anything.
You just
One at a time, please, one at a time.
didn't look at the algae stuff until last night. So how can you say that you looked at stuff before the vote?
No, what I did was confirmed what I already knew to be true.
But it wasn't true. It's not true.
Well, again, I'm trusting the gentleman right there.
We don't trust you. That's the key word right there. We don't trust you. What you did this last week is unacceptable.
Could we change subject a little bit? Could you explain to me the rationale for paying 4 times per acre, what the cost is in
Yeah,
that
sure.
area?
So that area, obviously, once again, it's been identified by, comprehensive plan as an area that wants to see commercial growth. That is not, your typical farmland that's in the middle of nowhere. It's off an interchange, very valuable land. You pay, quite frankly, less than commercial value for that land, and that is appropriate for that. Well, you have land being sold, with not nearly as good access, and certainly no immediate access to an interstate in Union County for commercial development at $95,000 an acre. So buying land right off an interstate interchange and a state highway at $50,000 an acre, that adds up. It doesn't add up, I understand, if you're comparing it to, say, a farmer buying farmland and they're gonna continue to farm it. I understand that. But that's not what this is. This has strong commercial potential and therefore there was value in that.
And we pay sale, or did you search it out? Was that land publicly for sale, or did you go after the owners?
So what we did during this process, and I'll just go through the entire process. So over a year ago, we were trying to identify sites that would be better locations for the wastewater treatment facility than I-70 and 42. We saw where that was going. We saw that this was not an ideal location. Not only was it not an ideal location for the immediate expenditure of funds, but once again, that maintenance component, the expandability component, the layout component, how trucks get in and out. That location required us to build what amounts to basically a county road in terms of load bearing capacity, 2-lane road, all the way back to the site. So there's just a lot of factors about that site that were negative. So we were constantly looking for new properties. And so what we did is we worked with Lee and Associates, a firm out of Columbus that works on commercial development. They've got some properties they're leasing out there on 42 and 29, and called in and said, hey, we need some help identifying property. And what they did is they sent out over 300 letters to property owners along the I-70-40 corridor asking if anyone was willing to sell property. And Mr. Yoder responded to that. But quite frankly, at the time, his price was a lot higher. And we said, no, we can't do that. We couldn't come to an agreement. We're continuing with engineering and continue down the path that we're on. Mr. Yoder contacted us and said, hey, would you be willing, are you still interested in this property? He had gone to the Pickwood plant, where this is the plant that's being used as a model for ours. And he was so impressed with that plant that he decided he'd be willing to sell us a part of his property. But keep in mind, he's keeping whatever it is, almost 100 more acres in that area. And what I truly believe is that Mr. Yoder went out there, saw the project, and said, this is not going to negatively impact my ability to do what I want to do with my land, whether it's farming it or eventually selling it for development, and said he'd be willing to sell the property to us. So honestly, I took that as a strong endorsement for what we're doing.
I think I have a 300 acres that I would love to sell to you for $53,000.
But again, is it next to 56?
It's right, you know where it's at, it's right next, you could dump right into Deer Creek and be done with it.
But again,
that's not what we're here about, we don't want you to put it there.
Yeah, I understand that.
How did that process start?
Or somewhere else.
You were looking at different properties?
Yeah.
When,
Over a year ago.
at what cost for this firm? How much did you pay this firm to be looking at this property?
I think we only paid him by the property.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't see a check. Associates come through the ledger, so.
The brokerage commission.
You mentioned the expandability difference between the 42 property and this property. So what's the long-term plan then? Is it more than 5 million gallons? Is it the 20 that's been quoted elsewhere?
No, right now it's gonna be 5. You know, we're gonna have to see what development continues to happen and in what parts of the county, and then decide on certain next locations of that. Right now, we're doing that with water. The good thing is we know that regional plan, combined with what's in London, combined with what's in Plain City, and combined with, obviously the smaller plants that we have around. There's even some capacity in the plant that serves Choctaw Lake. So we have enough capacity to get through several years of development. But we're running against the edge. Obviously, Plain City's at the edge. London has approved 871 homes, that takes them to the edge. So we know if we want to continue to grow these communities, regardless of what watershed they're in, and potentially bring jobs to the community that are going to need water and sewer, that we're going to need more capacity in water first. So quite frankly, our number one goal right now, because as far as we're concerned, the engineering of the plant's moving forward. If it ends up going back to 70-42, we already have a plan. Once again, it's copy and paste, we can do it there. So if ultimately that ends up what happening, that's what happens. But our goal right now is to find water sources, because we're gonna be okay, honestly.
So that doesn't inspire confidence that the plan is 5 million gallons, or 5 million gallons a day.
5 million gallons a day would be the capacity of the plant.
But expandability was an issue with the 42.
Yeah, we have to always think about the fact of where it's going to expand, because again, we look at Plain City's plant, unfortunately in its location, it wasn't able to expand. That's a problem if you're in a growing community. Same thing in Asheville. Our plant was in a location, it couldn't be expanded, had to be put in a new location. Yes, that location has expandability as well. London's plant is in a location that to expand is possible. It would cost double, $200 million. I mean, that's more than to build the plant that we're building today by $75 million. So yes, expandability is an extremely important component for future planning of industry.
So we're voting on more than 5 million gallons a day, is what you're saying? Oh, yeah. And
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
the trust
I
factor.
got a question for the board. The charter for ammonia is agriculture, is it not? Development of jobs is not part of that charter?
I'm not sure I understand the question, sir. What's the question?
A comprehensive plan for London. We've always wanted to restrict the amount of growth in this area. Is that not the case?
The city of London, are you talking about the city of London?
Yeah, the city of London and the London area.
Well, we don't control the comprehensive plan for the city of
But
London.
isn't that what, we're not really looking to develop jobs and more than agriculture in this area. We're looking for not manufacturing, to be moving into this area, with the kind of development that Mid-Ohio is looking at for us. We don't want that.
To be clear, we're not looking at specific types of development. That isn't our job.
You mentioned creating jobs.
Creating areas where companies can go and potentially bring jobs. So that I-40, the 40 corridor is exactly that type of corridor.
So here's some
Where X
history.
is, where, obviously across the road from the Farm Science Review, I mean, those are places where companies, say, like Bex, could come and open shop. We need water and sewer running down there. Ultimately, what companies come, I mean, first of all, it's the company's decision if they want to even look at Madison County. Second, yes, a lot of companies may want tax incentives. We don't approve that. That goes through the appropriate local authorities, so whether it's inside London, it's London, if it's in the county, it's county, Plain City, it's Plain City. All we're doing is making sure that we're getting the lines in the right places to facilitate that.
I think what Bob's saying is there's a history lesson here that's maybe lost on you. 20 years ago, sanitary sewer district number 2, you're familiar with it, Old Columbus. That was picked there specifically, and I've got a township trustee here, so you can correct me to 100% if I'm wrong. That was put in the location, it's uphill to inhibit future development. It was put in a engineeringly disadvantageous place to restrict development in that area. So I think what we're getting at is.
But you're pumping up to it now.
That's what I mean. It would make more sense for us to gravity feed, but one of the intents in going uphill was to inhibit the cost of future development in the surrounding area.
And I guess to that point, because we've been through that, how much it does cost to utilize force mains or in your case grinder pumps versus gravity.
What I'm getting at is there was an intent 20 years ago, you guys throwing that plan off to the side and saying, we're gonna develop all around you. We're saying, whoa, time out. First of all, it's at a cost.
I have no idea if that is true.
And if you,
I mean,
this goes back,
sure.
hang on, this goes back to my point. If you
Yeah.
guys would have had a meeting and had this discussion with us instead of 24 hours, boom, motion, enter the purchase agreement, then these things could have came to you. It didn't happen. So here we are.
And what was the reason
Why
for the
did you rush it
Could
through
you-
with no
Yeah,
discussion and vote?
Yeah, thank you. That was gonna be my question. The reason for the rush, I mean, if I understand what you said, the other location, the engineering was 60, the plans were 60% complete.
As of today.
Right. And so there's probably more due diligence that could have been done on that one.
Mhm.
So why the rush? Why the urgency? Why did it have to, you were missing a board member? Why that day did it have to go through?
Because at that time, we had already discussed
Where?
this problem.
In executive session, right?
No, in sessions about property. We had discussed this, like I said, over a year ago, we discussed the potential purchase of that property from Mr. Yoder. And we went through all the positives and negatives with Jacobs, with our staff and so forth. So frankly, when it came to us that day, the things that I listed in my email, those were all things that were decisions that we needed to say yes a year ago. Nothing in that email was derived in the last week.
But why did it suddenly emerge after a year from when it was first brought up? Because I looked back at previous meeting minutes and it wasn't discussed. So you're saying it was brought up a year ago and then all of a sudden it emerges one day and then we have to.
Well, I mean, Mr. Yoder called us up, said it's for sale. So he was willing to sell it to us. So, yeah, we moved forward.
Did he indicate that it's going to be gone tomorrow?
I have absolutely no idea.
Probably not at that price.
And in the end, I stand by the email that I wrote, stand by the advantages of it, and ultimately pursuing this, at least entering into the purchase contract, starting that 90-day testing period was a responsible decision on the board's part to see if this is a feasible site. If ultimately it's proven not to be a feasible site, we have a backup.
So how do you determine what's feasible and what's not then?
That will be done through the testing, soil borings, various things.
So none of this, you didn't say, well, you guys have sure showed up and spoken out, you didn't even acknowledge this, you said, well, we're gonna test the soil, like, we're not even here.
No.
That's the first thing out of your mouth wasn't, hey, I heard from you guys are upset, it's we're gonna test the soil.
Because the reality of the situation is that what we learned with pretty much any property that we purchased, and that's including trying to get easements down 42 to have that water sewer line go up and down there, is that these are controversial decisions. And we are never going to make the decision that makes everyone happy. Even if the 70-42 was the one, okay, that makes you happy, but it may not make us happy in the future when it comes to rates and capacity fees that we have to charge to pay for that, potentially inhibiting businesses and homes coming
Is
to.
anybody in here dying to get our area developed? I'm just curious, like.
I don't want to be West yet.
I don't want to be West yet.
Not on 56 and
So you
40.
keep talking about this and nobody here wants it. Like, don't you get it yet? You don't want it.
Have you actually thought, I mean, you said you do care about Choctaw Lake. Have you thought then about how this is going to impact us?
Nobody's got
Have you
things to worry about.
thought about it?
Yes.
And,
What
and,
benefits do you see
yeah,
the
but
Choctaws going
do
to
you
receive from this?
Our rates are
Do
getting
you
lower.
not think this is going to have, honestly, do you not think this is going to have any negative impact on us, on future us, on our future Summerford? Do you honestly believe this will have zero negative, and I'm not saying controversy. You said there's always controversy.
Yeah, there is.
But do you honestly believe there is going to be no negative impact on this small community?
I wouldn't have made the decision if I didn't believe that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
So, I think you stated the OSU study that you guys were dealing with, that kind of thought this was 2014, 2015.
No, I just used that to get the amount of acreage of the lake and its average depth. I didn't use it for.
Every chance you had today to speak to how community impacts would have been taken into consideration and spoken on something else. That tells me everything. The way you made the decision last week as a board and just powered through, tells me everything I need. You broke trust. I don't trust you. Everything you guys do from here on out, like, it's over.
And see, the problem, and I'm gonna interrupt, the problem is we lost our newspaper. No one in the room, no one in Choctaw knew, the commissioners didn't know you were having it. You're saying you did it. You had one meeting or two meetings a year ago, which was anybody there from the media that, was it published, et cetera? No. When we had our newspaper, we had the situation, people could read about it. So we didn't know about it. I'm not saying we didn't know about it. And go across the state. Now, I disagree with the guys in London, and I know the comprehensive plan. And we have, more jobs than we have people, so we have to grow. I understand that scenario, and we're pushing London to grow and West Jeff to grow to keep our comprehensive plan and open up a different area. I think the commission's done a fabulous job of keeping our system. But go around the state and see where you put the sewer next to the affluent part of the county. I mean, look at ours. I mean, as I said earlier, when I had to leave to do my physical therapy, I said earlier is, people move to the lake because of the water. You're potentially jeopardizing the water. And I realized, I was head out. Listen, I was here 20 years ago. I was there. We did it, and he was exactly right. We did it to stop growth because of our comprehensive plan. We did it. That's why Neil Babb wanted the sewer system there. We did stop growth at that point in time, and they have opened some growth. But I can't see why 70 and 42 can't operate and give ability for the people bringing in for the commissioners down. I mean, 70 and 42 is really close to 40. And so what's the problem of doing it there by putting the sewer plant next to the affluent area of Madison County? I mean, how many places around the state of Ohio have you put a sewer plant near the top level the high-priced homes. You never put a sewer plant there,
Asheville,
huh?
look at Asheville, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but look, I can show you, you show one or two, I can show you 15 the other way.
What about,
So why are you putting it there? And
what
I
about
understand.
Buckeye Lake? I mean, Buckeye Lake's wastewater treatment plant is almost right on the shoreline, surrounded by a bunch of homes that people are paying hundreds of thousands of
Well,
dollars.
Buckeye Lake's a whole different issue. The state put in $200 million. We got zero. We got $0.
It's all on us.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on us.
What about
They
India?
tried it, and when I was president of
You make it.
ODNR tried it.
Next time, if you are talking about the debt, Buckeye Lake, Indian Lake, I think that.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is Indian Lake still needs to connect more homes to their sewer, so they still have algae.
But they're different comprehensive plans than us. I mean, you should have sat down with the commission.
But 56 and I-70 is an area that is, that would be good for commercial development.
Brad, I don't think you're gonna convince anybody this for.
No, I'm not trying to.
Nobody was asking for commercial development, that's the point. You think you want commercial development, we're all saying we don't.
We've already established it's coming from downtown.
So your support of commercial development.
No, it's support of development.
You have to pay for that.
Again, it's the most economic way we can get the development along 40, keep going. 40, you're normally 56, and then 38 as well.
But you're assuming that that's not.
I see your plan, you're collecting a lot of.
Not part of the
About 6 miles, 80.
Yeah.
That this entire county agrees.
Again, all we can do is put the lines in the places that have been defined as growth corridors. And certainly the 40 and 70 corridor is exactly that.
Brad, the 40 to 70 corridor is the one you're pumping it uphill straight through into our neighborhood. If gravity's really that great, run it downhill from the 70 and 42 corridor to the 70 and 42 landing bar. You're not, like, you think you're explaining this better, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. The land goes like this from there to there. Pump it, let it flow down, that's your goal.
There's no place we can put that effluent that is down. It always has to go uphill, land undulates. We can only put the pipes so deep. So
It's 80 feet from Summer Third to the 70 and 42 intersection. You can put it on a big TV, and then on your site, there's a 2-foot contour and a 5-foot contour.
But it sounds like that effluent road doesn't have to go a mile upstream of Choctaw though. You have other options for that. I think that's where the big issue. Development's probably gonna happen, but why bring all that development's water and effluent to a mile upstream of Choctaw?
So-
And it sounds like you have other options that really need to be, in our opinion, explored. And,
Yeah, so I just want to say one thing. As I mentioned, we had a meeting, Brad wasn't there, but other members of Mid-Ohio were there. There were, as I said, real estate brokers, business owners, landowners, a meeting Thursday to discuss alternative sites. If a landowner, a business person came forward with land that we thought may be a better alternative, I mean, is that something Mid-Ohio would be willing to consider? I mean, if we put some options on the table for you all, if we come to the table with, hey, there's property A, B, and C, an alternative to this property that is now available, because I think this decision, as I said, has sparked community members to engage or re-engage in this process to find alternative property. So would it be the case if those members came forward? Yeah, sorry with the old courthouse. Trying to yell over it. I don't know if it's working. But would Mid-Ohio engage in that conversation? I mean, I know we had this 90-day due diligence period. I read the contract. It seems that you can get out of it pretty easily. So if property owners, engaged, concerned citizens came forward and said, hey, I think this property is a good site, would you consider those alternative properties in the meantime?
Sure, yeah,
Yeah,
just like
we
this
would.
one.
I mean, we would from an operational standpoint too. Obviously, the closer to Deer Creek, you need 50 acres.
Yeah. As I said.
That's kind of the criteria,
Yeah, because, I mean, this, as I said, this set off a firestorm on social media, so like people have become aware of this, and I think some people are willing to re-engage now with Mid-Ohio to, and the commissioners to potentially find a site that may be better suited for this, that has fewer impacts on the community. And I like to see it in a place that has minimal impact.
So, the one question a while ago was, what was the hurry? I think you asked that. So, we don't want to hold up engineering, because I gave you guys a timeline, this is taking a long time already, right? We still got 3 years to build a plan. No matter where it goes, it's going to be 3 years. So the biggest thing, time-wise, is engineering. So if we can do this quickly, I think we'll be okay. Changing it from 42 to 56 hasn't slowed us down. but we've already changed our engineering and say, okay, let's start looking at this site. So if we have to change again, it just takes a little bit of time to do that. But
I think the
that's why
time would, I
is
think the time would be minimal though, because what you told me is, I mean, this
minimal.
plant is ready to go. I mean, it's basically ready to be put somewhere.
Yeah, we know exactly
What it is, what the spec, you know.
Elevation.
Yeah, elevation.
Can I ask a question? How much is the new plant gonna cost?
The estimate right now is 124 million.
Okay, and by doing this move, you're gonna save $4 million, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, 4 million compared to 124 million isn't very much, if you really think about it, okay? So if you kept it on 70, right, it would cost you 128 million instead of 124 million, is that what you're telling me?
The 70's 124, the current site's 124. Yeah, so the other one would be 4 million.
But your math is, you're correct.
Do you think it's worth the hassle? You're already in debt 120 million, what the hell is another 4?
But you're gonna get low interest EPA loans, I assume.
Seriously, we're talking peanuts here.
Hopefully zero interest
Well, that's
EPA
what we're
loans.
shooting for,
Yeah.
regionalization. Yeah.
Regionalization, I mean, the state looks very favorably upon regionalization, so they're willing to give interest-free or low-interest loans, so I mean.
Yeah, we haven't got that yet, but, yeah, we're in line to try to get 0%.
0%, okay. So that's my point.
But 4 million today means a lot.
I get it. Maybe if this was done 3 years ago, we wouldn't even be that high. An estimate of 3-4 years ago or 3 years ago was 100. And I know everything's going up, but you already have a place. To spend another 4 million to get away from what we're talking about right now, I think it's a value.
My $200,000 house means a lot to me too.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's not just Choctaw, there's people that live around Choctaw too that are being affected.
The whole town of Summerford. Yeah.
Basically.
You're taking $100,000 from every person in this room. Is it worth it?
I don't believe any of that to be true. Again,
We disagree.
We absolutely
we disagree, and that's fine. Look, I have no issues disagreeing at all. I'm listening to you, I hear what you're saying, but what I believe is that we have plenty of examples of where effluent is going to bodies of water, it doesn't reduce the water quality. We already know that effluent, this better effluent that's gonna come out of this new plant, but still, the effluent that's coming out of the Plain City plant is helping the Big Darby, not hurting it. And we have plenty of examples of wastewater treatment facilities being built in the middle of towns. It is not slowing down their growth or people wanting to live
But you
there.
have no
because again,
studies on the impact of water quality in a lake, you have no studies on the impact of a dam.
No, the EPA has all of it.
Phosphorus.
Yeah, the EPA knows exactly what's gonna come out of our plant, they know exactly what's in the Deer Creek watershed, and they know exactly what's in the lake. They know it. And they'll come out and test it again to make sure that hasn't changed. The EPA knows all that.
They've tested that already for this new plant for.
No, they have not. I'm saying they have numbers today, but they will retest.
They also have no area of responsibility when it comes to dams.
No, that's of course the Army Corps of Engineers.
Right. So you've done nothing to understand the impact of your recommendation on our community.
No, I
You're
literally
trusting the
just.
EPA will on water.
I'm trusting the EPA, they're.
You've done nothing about property values. Is my property value gonna go up or down?
Again, I have examples where property values have continued to go up.
You haven't done the work.
I just
That
said
is the
what I'm doing. I literally just said what.
He said we get an input when they decide what kind of plan they're building, then we get to
Yeah.
decide.
Do the
That's not
work.
input, sir.
Don't tell me what you think is right, what you feel. Show me facts from an independent third party
That's the EPA.
that you drove to make your decision a good one.
In
If you haven't
process
given
of-
us anything, then your opinion.
He gave us his opinion on the solar thing too, the whole community voted against it. You wrote a letter.
I'm listening, because you're giving me opinion.
No, I'm
Give
giving
me
you a
facts.
fact.
You gave your
I'm giving
opinion
you
on
facts.
solar.
I sat on Asheville's council and voted
This
for
is
this
not
resolution.
This is not
But
actually.
again, if you're asking for examples of what property values have done, that is a concrete example of that. And I know.
Actually, do they have a lake?
Nope.
Do they have a
You're
dam?
asking me about property values. And what I'm saying is, even being adjacent to.
Let me clarify, comparables,
The
property.
Choctaw values are based on what.
So I'm looking at
Yes.
the FDDS permit. for
And I
Plain City.
don't, and again, all the lakes that have flooding going into them don't have issues today. Buckeye Lake is as clean as it's ever been in the last several decades.
Plain
That's
City had
exactly
3 million
what I'm
pounds of total dissolved solids out of the plant last year. That's 1.25 million gallon big plant. You're looking at something 5 times bigger, we all know it's bigger, you kind of hint to it. So now you're looking to dump in millions of total dissolved solids in the lake, we're already fighting algae issue.
Total dissolved solids don't necessarily impact the algae. What total dissolved solids are the minerals that are in the water. And one of the reasons that we have an issue up in Plain City is that the water that's coming out of the aquifer, of course, it's an aquifer, which means it has a lot of minerals in it to begin with. And we are unable to build a reverse osmosis plant there to adequately address the TDS that would come out of that plant. So yes, the TDS.
So back to the original thesis that I put forward an hour ago, maybe Plain City is just not right for 5 times population growth. Maybe it's just not that good of a place. Maybe, sustainability being the word, maybe building in an unsustainable place. It sounds like you're not making that case for us.
Are you gonna have someone come out and see the impacts on the dam? Are you gonna have the Corps of Engineers come out to see? Are you going to? Don't say, yeah, I can. Are you going to?
Yeah, we can contact the city. I don't
No, we
know
don't.
about that process. Yeah, we can contact the Army Corps of Engineers.
Actually, I'm not voted at 70-42 and we can all go home. And like Mr. Zanakis, the commissioner, said, $4 million and you already playing with 120.
And trust me when I tell
And
you,
we already know.
this is the area that I do have experience in. That $4 million today means a lot. That
Well,
means
we
a
already
lot.
know.
It's cash in hand.
Let me walk you through this. You guys are gonna develop that
0%.
corridor. There's gonna be abatements and tax breaks offered for all of it. The ratepayers are gonna end up we're gonna end up subsidizing that in our homes.
So I
Again, I'm not interested.
I wanted to mention, okay, yeah, I forget who mentioned that, maybe it was you. So obviously, yes, there are tax payments that happen, and again, Mid-Ohio doesn't do it, but
Okay,
certainly.
it's not you, but we know it happens. So let's
Yeah,
not
so-
pretend it's not part of the decision.
Please let me finish. So in Marysville, of course, we do tax payments all the time. First to raise our hands that we do it. But what we never do is waive capacity fees. What we never do is make a deal as it applies to the water sewer system. Never.
So when you waive.
So those are tax
when
payments.
you give an abatement, who does pick up the rates difference then?
There's no rate difference. Again,
When you do a capital project, like the building a $124 million water plant,
sure.
and then you develop a corridor, and then you say, hey, does anybody want to do business here?
Yes.
And then they come in and there's more infrastructure, there's more capitalization that happens.
That's what capacity fees.
The people on the system pay for that.
Pay
for development.
So I come from a system, again, that we have not raised rates in Marysville for 16 years. But you know what we have increased?
I think I see the problem, how it's ending up in the
Capacity
backyard
fees.
now.
Capacity, no, I have to, look, you asked me what my knowledge base is. You asked me where I get my information. That's what I'm telling you. So what we have raised though significantly over that period of time are capacity fees. So in other words, we have built 3 new lift stations, built double the size of our water capacity. We went from a 4 million gallon a day facility to 8 million gallon a day facility, and didn't have to increase the rates at all because capacity fees paid.
It's weird, because when I look at the Madison Messenger for West Jeff, I see the total opposite happening.
West Jeff's not us. I will tell you right now, I've said it in countless meetings, development needs to pay for itself. I've said it all along, and that's capacity fees.
There's been examples of other places, that's the example that's right next door.
But
So when you
I
look around-
believe, I'm telling you what I believe in wholeheartedly is development pays for itself. Capacity fees need to be at a level in order to sustain future development.
Well, I understand that, you also believe that solar is a good thing, but you overwhelmingly said no. So I'm gonna say that your opinions are not in line with the people that are affected by the decisions that you make, and that's a problem.
Do you live next to a solar field?
Not yet.
I will.
Yeah, I don't envy you living in the middle of a Chinese plastic farm. That
And
has
I'm,
no appeal to me.
and I'm okay with it. I do, and I'm okay with it, because I believe in property.
I live on a lake with no, yeah, with no
Oh,
shit
and
going
I-
in, I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay, and if I could live next to a farm field for the rest of my life, I would love that. But the reality is, I don't own that land, I don't control it, and I can't make decisions for that. But ultimately, yeah, if I had that choice, I would as well. That's part of development. Ultimately, we hear it all the time, and it is perfectly acceptable. I understand everything that you're saying. Look, I moved out to where I moved out to not have development around me. And if development around me happened, I would be
You
disappointed.
advocated for the middle of a solar farm. Like, I read your letter to the OPSB, you're saying, I don't want development, you advocated to be surrounded by plastic. Like, your words do not add up, sir. Like, what you're saying doesn't match what you've done elsewhere. It's
Well,
incongruous.
I'm not gonna argue about the solar, but what I will say to that, no, see, sir, you are refusing to listen to what I'm saying.
I hear exactly what you're saying. What I'm refusing is to accept the validity of what you're saying in light of things you.
But if I support X, and I'm okay living next to X, how am I not being truthful?
You said, I don't want development. It's like,
No,
you
I don't
advocated
consider
for solar development around.
I don't consider solar fields development.
How can we?
They,
Define.
to me, development is streetlights in my backyard.
The largest solar
They're
field in the
roads.
country is not development to you.
That
Like,
is a
maybe you shouldn't be on
static.
this public board then, sir. That's not development to you.
You know, I've been sitting here listening to you
your
lying to us from both sides of your mouth. I just paid about $10,000 for my yearly taxes for my property at Lake. And then somebody asked, what is this, shit plant is gonna do to our property value? You said property value is gonna go up. You know,
No, I
I
said-
listened enough to your lies out there, and I think you are a liar, and you don't need to be turning public. Get out of here.
I have not contradicted myself at all.
Actually, yeah, that's why I keep interrupting you.
Where have
It's
I
like,
contradicted myself?
You said, I don't want to be surrounded by development, and you wrote a letter to be
Because I-
surrounded by the largest solar farm in the country. That's called development.
Yeah, I think,
Farmfield,
oh, let's not get
that's
it,
called development.
let's not get off the rails. Let's get a little bit off the rails and becoming a back and forth between two people. So any other? Sure, and I think we've addressed, I think that's been well addressed. Is there any other questions? Anybody that wants to raise their hand?
Are the waters going above the lake or it flows into the water? The lake?
Yes.
And if it went at 42 and 70, where would it be floating into?
It would be still flowing in the gym.
It'd still be floating in, okay.
Upstream.
Yeah, it'd be uphill.
Okay. So there had to be a lift station.
Yes.
That's $74 million more, yeah. At this point, I would think that would be a little better idea, like looking down a lift station. Because, I live in West Jeff, by the way. I was just curious because when we're doing a little garden, which we don't want that.
No, you can't do anything with the duck.
And also, the east part of the county is not the slums. I mean, I've heard people act like this area is a higher end, well, you're wrong. You drive through Hidden Creek in our neighborhoods, but anyways, not to get all touchy my neighbors here. I think you should do what's best for the community. If it goes at 42 and 70, you're in an industrial area. West Jeff's already annexed up to that area. So it's going to be all industry, and people won't have to deal with the smells, this and that. And I respectfully rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll conclude this on a high note with everybody clapping. So I'm glad we were at least able to end on a high note. I mean, we're gonna consider, you know, as I said, we're gonna take action. We're still considering things. We're talking with Nick about, you know, remedies that we can pursue. But thanks everybody for coming. Thank you everybody for engaging in the dialogue and asking your questions. I think it was at least a somewhat productive hour. Yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. We try our best.
Dave, I'm not leaving.
Appreciate your comment.
Oh, you're welcome.
I don't know.
You too.
See you around.
See you around.
Chris, have you adjourned the meeting?
If not. I said I am not.
No.
I am not. So we get some water if I might.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
You go into an area, Chris.
Just in case he wants to do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
That was a long stand.
Don't hesitate to give me a call. Chris has my number. Or email.
I
I homeschool. I told her she could sleep in. And I'm like, looks like she was a.
It's like Saturday school.
I think I'll take that.
Hey, how you doing?
Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing well. We need to set up a meeting. We've got a bunch of stuff to go through.
Yeah.
The meeting was never.
They passed this.
They didn't know it was to vacate. No. And directly, but the meeting was never.
Let me know what you're doing. I'll make it open.
Sounds good.
But they made it seem like they were anything, but they were not.
Sounds similar. Same bullshit, right? I'll say it.
They do not go back to. They do not go back to this board. They do what they want. They report to
AC is on.
Just like all the engineers. Like, the engineers.
That's what it was. You have a good trip in DC?
You can say that on the record. I don't know that each requires a resolution, but
I was reading.
I think we can say a phone call would be made.
I did the same thing.
One more cup of coffee.
Then I'm gonna use.
Really think you need one. Getting that caffeine monkey off your back.
That has been relatively.
Smash bread.
So that's is that a national show then, or is it a big regionalized?
Yeah, national share.
I was gonna, how many people was in Sarah Park?
Well, so I don't share commissioners that I'm access that. And then the commissioners, I'm thinking probably. I might share the alternation there. I have this time to cover. I just want to it moved around. Which is pretty typical for the ORC. It is. Do something. It's neat to see what that's like around the district.
So you probably find, like, smaller scale, like, association meetings, it's kind of feels like, oh, this is stuff that we had to go out, you know, a lot of commonality.
So you have like your, the estimate from the floor, so you have the bear cats. I did. What's this? Security. Yeah, we're just, it's just a bigger.
He didn't say, he just said he'd like to hear about sometimes we earlier would be better.
He just asked me to shut his water off.
This, for you, anything else I can look at? I can't think of anything.
We know, I mean, we know it's, that's being.
So he gets all that over email.
So it wasn't like that makes sense, because it was a trucking. People that deliver, they had one of those things. Yeah. I told him, all I knew when he came on, I didn't have to sell out.
He got the, they got it all.
Stuff, I told him.
That's one girl, that's one girl.
Okay.
Pretty good soon. But hopefully there's no trying to. And everything's fine. Like, I mean, he's just waiting. We're waiting. I can get all this stuff in the bank. And
then, the owners.
I know, I'm waiting for
Oh,
this is one of the three
commissioners.
But yeah, but it only takes two to tango.
It's not their meeting with that.
Tell us.
Well, I wanna get these out. Brenda's coming, so. Yeah. Okay, he was telling me about this.
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna hand them out to
That'll be nice.
quite the crowd.
You should have hanged them out to everybody.
I know.
What? They're still there.
They're out there? This is at West Jeff, right? Don't pay me, because I got other stuff.
No, you're fine. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started again. Brett, did you have anything?
I do, I'll be right back.
Okay. Godspeed to you.
Sorry, I had to step back.
Thank you.
I am a freaking
Love food, please.
It's the insurance company. So I said, well, let me die from that. Might not worth more than
So I'm gonna text, I said, to Joe and are gonna text one and say, no, Brad has no intention of resigning.
It's a weird one.
So that's, even if we call for it,
I would think the darkness actually like.
the delicate dance to be played, leadership of the town.
I think so.
I don't know if we asked for his resignation, if he decides not to resign, then it becomes problematic in the leadership vote. That is my honest say.
I literally got to say 12 hours.
Submit his resignation,
And then so I just up to 1, or until 2, we're gonna fix this afternoon.
I don't wanna upset him. Ahead of this good vote.
Then,
Can I have my $20? I'd rather
They said,
them
say stuff. I want to
Brent?
because I want to upset them.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you.
We'll do it.
statement that would.
Now I just need to collect money from.
Make the move. I'm gonna make the phone call. Yeah. Okay, listen. All right, we're good. We're back. Zoom session. Mr. Henthor, did you have something to discuss with the biodigester? Sir?
Yes, my name is Brent Whitmore. I'm here for the biodigester, and I just wanted to make sure, obviously, I passed out those flyers and.
Shut that door.
Joe Henry. Yeah, I just think, yeah. we can. So we had a smaller community meeting last Thursday at Lily Chapel. We had approximately 40, 45 people, somewhere in that range, kind of preparing for this next Thursday's meeting, the 20th. Obviously, it's going to be held at the high school. We're looking to get as large of a turnout as we can. We have contacted people that were interested in speaking for us out there. We want to have a forum that we can ask specific questions to people and unfortunately not be able to engage the amount of people that we're hoping to have in attendance for questions.
Have you put it out to the local news and that this is all gonna happen? I mean, that's the way you draw attention, other than start picketing, that's.
Yep, we've contacted NBC4, which is Isabella, the person that did our original interview. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend. And I don't know why that is, didn't give an explanation, because I can only assume. But yes, we have reached out to the 6 as well. We've tried to get it on different boards as far as digital boards around town here, and unfortunately I've been denied that. So we're just basically taking to the streets and had some new signage made about the upcoming meeting, passing out these flyers throughout neighborhoods and down in West Jeff. I tried to go to London, Kroger's, they wouldn't let me on there, they had flyers up there. So we're doing as much as we can do through the Facebook, through,
Okay.
Has Representative Stewart indicated whether or not he would be there?
I don't know that he's ever stated yes or no, and I don't know that he physically was going to be the one who was coming as well, just somebody from the office, but yeah.
Because I do know that at one time he'd expressed interest in possibly even highlighting the bill that he's introducing. So if he's interested in doing that, I would think that'd be a noteworthy event for the meeting as well.
Yeah, he attended one, didn't Representative Stewart attend one?
Yeah, one of the little jobs,
yes. That's what I thought. Okay, I'll call him and let him know, make sure he's aware of this one.
Yeah, that would be great.
I had a conversation with Mrs. Reynolds, and she had no clue what was going on.
No, it's hard to believe that.
We sent letters. We did.
That's a whole different.
And this was, I had the conversation after we sent the letters.
Right.
Thank you.
Sorry. That's okay. So yeah, we're looking for a big turnout. We're just wanting to, get everybody re-engaged. We feel that, potentially we're looking at a proposal.
Yeah.
Or a big hiccup that they can't get past. We know an EPA baseball, we can see about that. We're watching that, we're preparing for that as well. So just trying to keep everybody excited about it.
Yeah.
And then, we'd have, open conversations about everything. And then Nick, your name came up and we wanted to invite you to that meeting and wanted to know if you would be interested in speaking from the legal side of what the frustrations that we're faced against, not divulging any information, but more clarity of the struggles that we're going through. Is that something you would be interested in?
It's something I'm interested in, although it puts me in a very awkward position when it comes to power rules of professional responsibility and ethics.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is statutorily, I'm the legal representative for the board of commissioners.
Okay.
So I have to be careful about what I say publicly about potential litigation. I have to be careful about disclosing things that confidentially we've discussed relating to that representation. It's very tricky for me when I'm in that kind of position because I don't know what questions are going to be posed to me.
Well, that's what this Thursday meeting is going to be exactly at the House. And that's what we want, the form we want to have is exactly that. We want to ask you a specific question. And we're not going to allow outside engagement to come in. So you won't be asking a question, you won't know what the question is. And
it's not about knowing what the question is in advance or not being in an informed position. It's about the fact that the majority of the questions I'm asked, I won't be able to answer. And that's frustrating to the public. Frustrating, for me to be in the room and be sitting there and put up front of everyone and then have to say, I'm not allowed to answer that.
Yes. Okay.
And to be frank, and this is something that is maybe sometimes lost. It's not always in the best interest of the Board of Commissioners and the arguments that we're going to present to the court if those arguments are publicly made in advance.
Yeah, we wouldn't necessarily want him to make those arguments in a public setting, right? And then you get into the issue of confidentiality and, get into the issue of, hey, he's kind of showing our arguments, showing our hand ahead of time, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't gonna be stuff like that, it was gonna be more of an update, like, we have been consulting, we have been doing.
Yeah.
And nothing in detail, but just trying to get people there that people recognize that they feel are engaged and working for the cause, things like that. So, again, I don't know.
But you're a leader in this, so you know he's engaged. And
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we'll use him when we need him.
Yeah. So again, my main push now is just making sure that we can keep this thing rounded up. And, obviously what we just had before, I argued that one. I know where they're at.
Yeah.
We went down that path, started so down.
Yeah. Appreciate those comments. Thank you, sir. Well, just so you know, the action that's going to be taken later today, I'm going to take it upon myself as chairman of the board to give Mr. Lutz a phone call and demand his resignation. We're not going to take a resolution at this point. I'm just going to do it via phone call. So he will be receiving a phone call from me later today asking for his resignation from the Mid-Ohio Water and Sewer Board. If he chooses not to go, then obviously, we'll take a more formal step and put together a resolution formally demanding his resignation from the board. So that is the action that we plan to take. After we exit this meeting, as I also stated, we will continue to engage with other landowners, property owners, business people, brokers, real estate, whoever we can that wants to assist in us finding an alternative site for this regional wastewater treatment plant. So those are the actions that we plan to take going forward. And if there's nothing else for the good of the order, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Well, Tony, it's probably just you and I the rest of the afternoon.
Anyway,
No, I get it. Wait a minute, I want to be, I want to go.
you want to give a deposition?
Yeah.
Deposition.
Who's gonna